Hello everyone, welcome back to Twilight Tales. Tonight we plunge into the kind of darkness that waits beyond the mist, the kind that knows your name, your voice, your very soul. So turn off the lights, plug in your headphones and remember, some whispers aren't meant to be heard. If you enjoy descending into fear with us, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with fellow night wanderers. Now, breathe slowly and listen carefully, because the fog is calling you. It began with a fog. Thick, soupy, and unnatural, it rolled into Millstone Hollow just past midnight, swallowing the street lamps one by one until the world looked like a blank canvas smeared in ash and shadow. Tom Calder had seen fog before. He'd grown up in the Pacific Northwest where mist clung to the pines like sweat on a feverish body. But this fog was wrong. It didn't drift, it didn't rise and fall. It hung there, unmoving, waiting. He had woken up that night with an ache in his chest, the kind that isn't physical but somehow cuts deeper. Outside, the fog pressed against his window, pale and bloated. But that wasn't what made his heart gallop. It was the whisper. Tom. Soft. So soft it could have been wind, or a trick of his tired mind. But he wasn't tired. Not anymore. He sat up slowly, pushing off the sheets, as his breath caught in his throat. His room was silent. No creaks, no hum of the fridge downstairs. The house was buried under that eerie stillness, the kind that wraps around you like a shroud. Then came the voice again. Tom. This time, it was closer. Just outside the window. He crept toward the glass, squinting into the haze. Nothing. Just gray soup swirling in silence. But there, at the edge of the neighbor's fence, was a figure. Vague. Motionless. Barely visible. He stared for a long minute, his hand instinctively brushing the curtain closed. The next morning, he tried to dismiss.
Maybe he'd dreamed it, maybe it was the wind.
Maybe it was stress, after all. Millstone Hollow hadn't been the easiest place to move after the breakup. But by sunset, the fog returned. And this time it didn't leave. It came with the cold, a biting chill that slid into the bones and stayed there. People started complaining. It's like the sun just stopped working, his mailman said with a nervous chuckle. Town feels haunted. That word, haunted. It echoed in Tom's mind as he lay in bed that night, wrapped in every blanket he owned, windows locked, door bolted. Yet still, the whisper found him. Tom. He leapt from bed and shouted, "Who's there?" Nothing. No footsteps. No laughter. Just silence. Until, you know me. His blood ran cold. The voice was inside now, not outside the window, not drifting from the fog. Inside the room. Tom spun, fists clenched, scanning the corners. There was no one. The whisper was everywhere and nowhere, filling his ears, vibrating in his skull. He didn't sleep that night. Or the next. By day 3, his eyes were red-rimmed, his coffee untouched, and his voice rasped from yelling into empty rooms. The fog never lifted. Not once. And the whispers, they multiplied. Sometimes it was a chorus, low and crackling, like broken radios tuned to different channels of pain. Other times it was personal, intimate. A woman's voice that seemed to know every secret he never spoke aloud. "You should have stayed with her," it said one night just before dawn. "You broke her. You break everything." "Shut up," he howled into the silence. "You're not real." But the fog didn't care, and the voice never left. Tom tried everything. Therapy via Zoom, cleansing his home with sage, prayers, screaming, drowning himself in whiskey. Nothing worked. On the fifth night, the fog slithered into the house. He found it curling under the front door like smoke. By the time he grabbed a towel to block the gap, it was too late. It oozed across the floors, climbed the stairs, found its way into his closet under the bed. It became him. Tom, it cooed, lying beside him in bed, a whisper against his neck. "Let's talk." He ran, out of the house, into the fog, shirtless, barefoot, half mad. The voice followed. "Tom, Tom, you can't leave. You belong to the mist now." He wandered aimlessly through streets that no longer looked familiar. Every house was gone, every landmark erased. It was like the world ended and only he remained. Until he saw the lights, dim, flickering, yellow, a diner, in the middle of nowhere. He stumbled inside, trembling. A bell chimed as he pushed through the door, but no one greeted him. The booths were empty. The air was thick with grease and rot, and at the far end of the counter sat a man. Back turned, shoulders hunched, Tom approached slowly. Hey, buddy. You see the fog outside?" No response. He reached out, hand trembling, and tapped the man's shoulder. The figure collapsed, like an empty suit, hollow, skin like paper. No eyes, no mouth. Tom screamed, falling backward. And that's when the voice returned. Only now, it was everyone's voice. "Tom, Tom, 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 Tom." He turned and saw them, figures in the booths, pale, silent, dozens of them, their faces blank, their heads tilted, all of them whispering, all of them knowing his name. "What do you want?" he cried. One of them slowly raised a hand and pointed behind him. He turned, and the fog opened. Not like a curtain, not like a door. It breathed, parting just enough to show what waited beyond. A woman, the one he had left behind. Emma. She stood, there in the mist, her face unreadable, eyes wide with sorrow, or was it accusation? Emma? Her mouth moved, but the whisper was not hers. It was the fog's. "Why did you leave me?" He fell to his knees, sobbing. I made a mistake. I didn't know." The fog thickened, coiling around his arms, his legs, his throat. It doesn't matter. The cold became unbearable. His breath came in ragged gasps. The figures in the diner stood, all moving toward him now, slow and synchronized. "You are ours now." He blacked out. When he woke, he was back in his bed. Daylight streamed through the windows. The fog was gone. Had it been a dream? He rushed outside. The sky was clear. Neighbors watered their lawns. Children rode bikes. Normal. Too normal. Tom tried to laugh. Maybe he had gone crazy. But then, from somewhere in the breeze, Tom, his heart stopped. He turned in circles. Nothing. And then, on the mirror above the fireplace, words appeared. You left her to die in the fog. He stumbled back. No, that's not true. But deep down, it was. He had received the call that night. She had begged him to come. Said she was scared, lost. Said something was following her home in the fog. And he didn't go. He'd silenced the phone. Told himself she was being dramatic. Emma was found 3 days later in her car, parked on an abandoned road, eyes wide open, mouth frozen in a scream. Now she was with the fog, and so was he. That night, the mist returned, but it didn't knock this time. It flowed under doors, through vents, through the very walls, and when he tried to run, the house folded in on itself. The street vanished. Reality slipped. Now Tom walks the fog. Sometimes you'll see him, just a shape in the haze, lingering near the road, standing by your window, listening, and sometimes, if you're alone, if your soul carries guilt like rusted chains, you might hear your name whispered softly in the mist, and when you do, don't answer, because the fog remembers, and it never lets go. Thanks for listening to tonight's tale. If your room feels a little colder, if the fog outside looks just a bit too still, don't worry, unless of course you hear a voice that knows your name. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Twilight Tales. We'll be waiting in the dark. Good night.